The NHL is absolutely terrified of what is coming out of this Western Conference. It is a complete gauntlet of just so many talented teams, talented players that are all fighting for playoff spots. Some teams aren't even in there in the case of the Calgary Flames, but it is actually pretty good. Some of them have how the matchups are turning out for the Colorado Avalanche. We are going to get into all of it right here at Avalanche Digest, your number one source for all of your Avs news. But I don't have to tell you that. I mean, I know you're already subscribed, and I know you already know just how great of a channel we are. So don't forget to comment down below what you think about this current situation, and let's get right into it about these playoffs. Now, the Avs actually have one more game remaining in the regular season, and that is against the Anaheim Ducks at 8 p.m. Mountain Time tonight. But really, this is a game that the Avs don't care about, and the Avs actually haven't really cared about their games for a little bit here. They're resting their top guys. They can't move in the playoffs, and actually they're locked into a round one matchup with the Dallas Stars. They can't move out of the third seed, so why waste your players? Why just grind down your bodies right now just before playoffs? It doesn't make sense. Now, looking at this playoff picture, you can see the picture painted pretty clearly. The Winnipeg Jets are pretty aimed to win the President's Trophy, which is an interesting curse a little bit in the NHL zeitgeist, but really looking at the Winnipeg Jets, they are slated right now to play the St. Louis Blues. And this is the best case scenario for the Colorado Avalanche. The Avs already want to play the Dallas Stars in round one. They're missing Miro Heiskanen. They're really not clicking. They've been ice cold for about a month now, which is a little different than just a few games with the Avs. But really, since trade deadline, the Stars have not looked good. They have not looked cohesive, and that is quite worrying heading for them into the playoffs. But the Jets have actually been very good. And unfortunately, through no fault of their own, they've had some pretty bad injuries in the last few games here. We already saw Gabe Vilardi is week to week with no news about his return, which is not good for the Stanley Cup playoffs. And just last night against the Colorado Blackhawks, unfortunately, Nikola Ehlers collided with an official in a freak accident. It was no one's fault and had to be helped off the ice, as you see right here from the post by Drew Livingston. And really looking at their roster already, the center depth was quite a bit of a concern. Adam Lowry is a great 3C. He's the captain of their team. But Vlad Nemestikov as your 2C, I mean, if he was your 3C, I would raise concerns about that. But as your 2C, that's just not good. And now it is exacerbated by the fact that you're no longer that strong on wing. I mean, you have Cole Perfetti, who's been good, but really hasn't taken that next step in the NHL yet. And then Nino Niederreiter. Without Nick Ehlers and Gabe Vilardi, you're missing two top six wingers. And that is not a good recipe when you're aimed to play a St. Louis Blues lineup, which already looks good. And then you realize that they're missing Dylan Holloway, which is a 30 goal scorer. And suddenly you're looking at this matchup and you're saying that is a potential upset that will happen with the St. Louis Blues and the Winnipeg Jets. And when Jordan Binnington, the goalie of the St. Louis Blues, gets hot, it is very hard to score on him. We saw that in the Four Nations tournament. We saw that when the Blues had a miracle cup run and won the Stanley Cup in 2019. So that is dangerous for the Winnipeg Jets. And looking at it, you see that the Vegas Golden Knights are also going to play the Minnesota Wild. Suddenly, this Western Conference matchup is looking pretty good. The Avs could potentially be fully healthy, and other teams are either dealing with health or are pretty disjointed heading into the Stanley Cup playoffs. And you really like the looks of that. I mean, the Wild also have a sneaky addition, you might call it, in a future or already top pairing defenseman in Zeev Boyum. He was actually a finalist for the Hobey Baker Award, which is the best player in the double NCAA. So he's already played some pretty pro level hockey, and now he's coming in and is going to play for the Minnesota Wild in the playoffs. You're actually seeing quite a lot of prospects, but really looking at just how much of a absolute gauntlet that this Western Conference is. Let's look at the top teams in the league overall. Winnipeg Jets on top. There's the Washington Capitals, which have also played very well. The Vegas Golden Knights, third best team in the league. There's the Dallas Stars. There's the Los Angeles Kings. And there's the Colorado Avalanche. You can actually see the West. A lot of the best Eastern teams are all under the Avs, which is quite interesting. Considering that the Avs had so many injuries and so many problems this season, the fact that they're better than some of these other teams is just crazy to me. And you can even see even the wildcard teams are better in the West than they are in the East. Now, I love the Sens and the Canadians making it in. I think that's awesome for them. But you can see the Wild and the Blues have played better than them this season. And it's a much tighter race. You can even see the Flames, a team that's not in the playoffs, is actually been better than the New Jersey Devils, a team that is. I mean, that is just so crazy to me. But really, you're looking at the situations where a lot of the best talent is in the West. And that's what makes it a complete gauntlet. I mean, you look at the Blues lineup, you look at what everything has been happening, you look at the Jets lineup, even while injured, it's some pretty formidable lineups. Now, let's go back to the Dallas Stars, because obviously you can see that the Minnesota Wild are really good as well, but let's go back to the Dallas Stars. Really, they have one of the probably the biggest concerns in this playoffs in general. I mean, let's take a look at their win streak. I said that they were ice cold heading into the playoffs. I mean, really, they completely are. Different than other teams that are saying maybe they're going to rest their top guys. The Oilers are kind of doing that. I expect the Kings to do that pretty soon, although they are fighting for their home ice advantage, and they've been monsters at home ice right now. And yes, we are getting the Edmonton Oilers and the LA Kings again for the fourth time in a row. Isn't that so much fun? It's not. But again, you look at the Dallas Stars right here, and at a glance, you kind of look at this and say, oh, they've played okay these last few, I guess, month, because we're looking at March 2nd all the way to April 12th, about a month and a half. You look at this and you don't have too much concern right away. But as you really get into it a lot more, you can see that what the games and the scores don't show you is that obviously you see right here, they lost a lot in overtime. They had to go to overtime 4 times in a row. And these were games where they were getting completely outplayed. And a lot of the times you can see the regulation losses. You can even say even the games that they win are a lot of the times games where they're getting completely outplayed, but then magically either turned it around and scored a few goals and outlasted the other team and won, or lost in overtime. You can see right here in this stretch where, at least they won like 6 games in a row, but a lot of those teams were either not very good, heavily injured in the case of the Minnesota Wild, missing McDavid and Draisaitl in the case of Edmonton right there, and that was still a close game, or outright got outplayed, but the score really doesn't show that. And you can see again, they're currently on a 5-game losing streak. They have been a team that has never clicked. They're a team that has not looked cohesive. They're looking like they're getting outplayed, and they have a very talented roster. But really, in the case of a team like the Avs, you saw them all click, you saw them get together, you saw them play great games, and then when games stopped mattering or the end really came and they want to save themselves for playoffs, they let off the gas, and they're still playing fine. But in the case of the Dallas Stars, they're playing all of their guys. They're not resting a single player. There are some players which are actually, in the case of Thomas Harley, which probably were already dealing with something and is now just resting. But really, the Dallas Stars are now locked into that second spot in the West. And they are now trapped in a situation where they have just not looked good, which is not good going into the playoffs. Coming into these playoffs, the Avs are the best setup against all of their opponents. Their opponents are either injured, or they're just not playing well, or they are playing some tough teams, while the Avs are getting some favorable matchups. Dallas in round 1, which is compromised with no Miro Heiskanen and just not playing well. The Winnipeg Jets in round 2, which could potentially still be injured or be more injured after playing the St. Louis Blues. And who knows since then, the Vegas Golden Knights. I mean, they play a team in the Minnesota Wild, which are unpredictable. Really, these playoffs are a war. They are unpredictable, and they are a gauntlet. And that actually sort of favors the Avs, especially playing a soft Eastern Conference. I am so excited to get these playoffs started. We are going to cover all of it and dive even deeper as time goes on here at Avalanche Digest. Thank you for watching, Avs Nation, and have a good one.